All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of Saber Sims DFS office hours. It is Monday, December 26th of 2022. Hope everybody is enjoying the national holiday today if they are able to. So hoping to have some more live viewers today if possible, or people, spending time with their families, totally understand that. But for those of you who are here, welcome. For those of you who are new, my name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS related questions that come in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you are not joined up in our Discord, there is a link in the description below to get joined up. Highly recommend it. As always, a lot of good DFS conversation going on over in the channels every single day. A lot of sharp people in the community, always willing to answer questions. So highly recommend that as always. And if you are just stumbling upon this show, this is a show, 5 days a week, 2 p.m. Eastern, every single day. Ask your questions. You can ask them live in the YouTube chat. We will get to all of the YouTube chat questions and the office hours questions before the end of the show. But with that being said, it is a Monday, so that means that we have to announce the winners for this week's weekly max challenge. Gonna get this up on the screen here. It is, down on week 16 of the NFL here. Only 2 more weeks in the regular season for NFL. For anybody who's been participating, the entire season, those end of the season prizes are right around the corner. But we do still have weekly winners, week in, week out. Plenty of time to still win some awesome prizes. So for this week, our top finisher, who will get a free month, a SaberSim t-shirt, and an entry into our end of the season free bowl, was A.G. Atkins with a score of 220.18 points, good for 10th in the mini max. Congratulations. Saw a ton of Saber logos all over the top 100 of the mini max leaderboard. So it seemed like it was a really good weekend for users. Awesome weekend to have a good weekend. Makes the holiday weekend feel that much better, and you can brag about it at the family gathering. But that being said, we are going to jump over to our trusty wheel of names here. Looks like we had about 121 people max enter the mini max this week. So I am going to hit shuffle. If you ever want to come in and make sure your name is on this list, we post a link to the Google Sheet where this is tracked, along with the stream link in the office hours channel. Anyone can go over there and jump in and make sure that their name is on here. You guys see anything weird, just ping me in the Discord and we will get it taken care of. But that being said, I'm gonna spin for tickets to next week's mini max here. Free entry is coming up for somebody, and we will see who that is right now. Looks like it is going to be MVP ISKG. Not sure how to pronounce it, just going to spell it out. But congratulations, you win free entry into next week's mini max. Somebody from the team will reach out to you and let you know that those tickets are on the way to your account. So we will get that taken care of for you. Thank you to everybody for participating in our week 16 weekly max challenge. 2 more weeks to go. Keep going strong. And all of those awesome season-long prizes are right around the corner. But that being said, we are going to get SaberSim pulled up here. Looks like Chuck DePure got a question ready for me in the Discord. Thank you, Chuck. That is our only question in the queue at the moment. If anybody has anything they want to get answered today, now is a great time to do it. Not sure how long the stream is going to be today if we don't get any more questions rolling in here, but maybe we'll find something to do. So I'm going to get this question over into the chat from Chuck. Chuck said, Andrew, I'm playing single entries, a 3 max, 20 max, 150 max on FanDuel for NBA. That requires 5 different builds. Would it be a bad idea to combine the single entries and 3 maxes together and the 20 and 150 maxes together? Okay, Chuck, you're giving me a layup here and alley-oop, and I am going to just do a slam dunk on this one. So sounds like you have not heard our DFS profit plan. What is it? And, why is it important, right? So if you go over to our YouTube channel, you go over to new here, start here first. We have this 17-minute video, which is basically a quick summary of an entire Behind the Sims series that we did over here on Behind the Sims. We did this contest selection. It was our very first Behind the Sims series. It was a 5-part series. Eric, one of our data scientists, and Jordan are in these videos talking about contest backtesting and figuring out what is a good portfolio of contests to play that smooths out your variance over times and still allows you to grow your bankroll at a good pace, right? So this is a 5-part series. If you're interested in more of where the concepts of the DFS profit plan came from, I would highly recommend checking out these 5 videos, and especially this last one. They do like a deep dive into what the results are from all of the back testing, and then we summarized that and came up with the DFS profit plan. In a nutshell, it basically says treat your single entries and 3 maxes as what we call elevator type contests and build those in one build, and then take your 20 max and 150 max and treat those as diversifiers and make a separate build for that. Okay. So our content messaging, our best practice is to do 2 separate builds, one for single entry and 3 max, one for 20 max and 150 max. That is how I like to build my lineups on most days. Sometimes you're in a time crunch and you got to build it all together. I think the worst thing you could do is like not get your lineups in on time. So my advice to you would be split it up into 2 builds, time permitting. Worst case scenario, build it all together, but I wouldn't recommend that on a day-to-day basis. And we can kind of, jump into a build over here and see, why that makes sense, right? If you come over to SaberSim, and then I'm going to use a classic slate, usually just a little simpler here to look at. So with the sliders let's do 150 max, greater than 50,000 entrants, looking at sliders of 3, 5, 8, right? And then this would be like on FanDuel your piggy bank, right? Your 5-cent 150 max, usually like 190,000 ish entries off the top of my head. And then you come over to like your 20 max, right? I think the 20 max is like 47,000. So right about this 50, you could drop it down to 10 to 50K. So we're looking at 3, 4 slicks sliders as opposed to 3, 5, 8. So same correlation. Ownership fade goes up 1 tick. Sim diversity goes up 2 ticks. Not a huge change there, right? But then, compare this 3, 5, 8 slider setting to a single entry. You're playing like the $1, the $2, the $5. I think that's in like the 1 to 10,000 range. 225 is a big difference from 358, right? Less than more than ownership goes down by more than 50%. Sim diversity goes down by 3 ticks. Like that is a bigger change. So what our back testing has told us about what it takes to take down a single entry contest with a 1 to 10,000 entrants is a lot different than what it takes to take down a contest that is 150 max entry with over 50,000 entrants, right? So if we go over here and look at a 3 max really quickly, same contest dynamics, right? The $1 3 max on FanDuel, I think, is like 3,000 to 4,000 entrants. Slider settings are the same. So totally makes sense to do the single entries and 3 maxes together, especially since you're using the same slider settings. And then the 20 max and 150 max are so close to each other that those might as well be grouped together. You're not going to lose a lot of EV by not using those small adjustments. So definitely a time saver. And this is how I would do it myself. So Chuck, let me know if you have any follow-up. And I'm happy to talk about it further. All right, looks like we got a question here from Jeff. Jeff said, after that response, I'm guessing my question is in one of the videos, but I can't figure out how to set a rule in NBA that player X and player Y will never be in the same lineup. So, Jeff, sounds like you are possibly Chuck here. So hope you were able to, catch that. Let me know if you have any feedback. And then if we are setting a rule, I'm gonna take the two highest players on the slate tonight. So we got Damian Lillard and LaMelo Ball here. Wow, really interesting that nobody is projected over 50 points. Feel like we're missing a lot of like the higher salary players. Kevin Durant at 10.8 is the highest. No 11Ks, no 12Ks over here on FanDuel. Kind of interesting. All right. So, I don't want to line up with, the two highest players in it for whatever reason, right? So all I would do is I would come in here. I would do a group rule. I would do a manual rule. And then I would say use no more than one. And then you could just come in here and you can click them in. If there's like, two specific players that you don't want to do this, that you don't want to have in the same lineup, I would just do it as a manual rule, right? If you are somebody who says, I don't want to play two high scoring players from the same team together. Maybe, you don't want to play Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, right? What you can do, as like a baseline is go into add new rule. You can do something like group automatic and then say use no more than one, group by team here, and then add a stat requirement. So you're basically saying don't use more than one player per team where if their projection is greater than 35, right? And then I would say this as a manual rule so you can go in and look at this, right? So then if we hit this drop down, this rule says use less than or equal to one Brooklyn player that meets this stat requirement, right? And then it's going to go and find the players that meet the stat requirement and then create the rule for you. So it grabbed Kyrie and Kevin Durant without us having to do it, but it also did it to all these other teams, right? So even for Utah, it just grabs the player that's 35. And then the great thing is that, if you set this earlier in the day, you can come in here as projections update, you can hit this refresh icon. And then if somebody, is borderline, if they're like 34 points and, they their projection changes a little bit, goes up to 35, this will now include them in the rules. So if you save as manual, all you have to do is hit this little refresh icon. If you save as automatic, it will automatically do it for you. But personally, I like to be able to come in here and see who it's grabbing, right? So, over here for Portland, we got 3 players over 35 points, right? You could treat each rule differently. Like, you know what? I was only thinking about Lillard and Nurkic. I actually don't want to include Jeremy Grant in this rule. You can update the rule and then go from there. You could delete it for certain teams that you don't care about this rule for. So saving as manual definitely gives you so much flexibility and allows you to have like certain nuances. It's not so hard and fast. You can like adjust it for one team one way, do it for another team a different way, delete it for a team. So definitely a lot of utility, I think, is like the kind of the key thing there with manual rules. You have so much more utility and they're not so like hard and fast. So good questions there. Happy to touch on it more. If anybody has any more questions, looks like some more people are rolling into the stream here. No more questions in the Discord. No more questions in the YouTube chat. If you guys have questions, now is a great time to get them in here. I don't think I talked about, what kind of show we got or what kind of day we got going on today. I think we got, 7-game NBA slate, got an NFL showdown. Should be a really interesting night for everybody in those season-long NFL playoffs. It is the semifinals of any season-long leagues this week. So anybody sweating, Justin Herbert, Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, should be pretty interesting day. So good luck to all of you in the season-long fantasy playoff semifinals, as well as anybody in the best ball semifinals. I'm pretty sure it is best ball semifinal week. So good luck to all of you in the best ball streets. All right. Chuck is here. Chuck, by the way, thanks for your help. Yep. No worries, Chuck. Happy you were able to tune in. And then question here from Sojo. Is there a way to have a player only in utility? My answer to that is gonna be yes. So we actually pushed an update. I'm assuming we're talking about NHL here. We pushed an update to allow players to be, I believe, like grouped in hold on, let me see if I can find the release notes really quickly. So in the Discord channel, there's a channel called Release Notes. Anytime we push an update, we are going to post the notes there for everybody to read. It was posted by Scott. Scott is a very long time community member and now works for the Saber, is on the SaberSim staff. Scott is a very great front end dev and has been doing a really good job with fixing a lot of bugs and creating a lot of new features. Is an NHL shark, so he was very happy to add this rule. So okay, I found it here. So it says specific positions can now be selected or excluded from the utility spot in build settings for DraftKings NHL, FanDuel NHL. So how do we do this, right? This is a good question. Okay, so maybe it's this positions in utility. You can determine which positions you allow or do not allow into your utility. Maybe you never want a defenseman in your, utility spot. That is a great way to do it. If there is a specific player that you do not want in your utility, what I would do is I would go into utility. So this is like a quick way to do it, right? If you don't want any defenseman like ever, I would just uncheck this here. That is the simplest way. There's a specific player that you do not want in your utility, right? Maybe you don't want a certain wing in your utility for whatever reason, right? Maybe you don't want Matt or Patrick Kane just because his name's a little easier to say, right? You could come into the utility drop down, okay? Come into the utility drop down, put Kane to 0 max exposure. This will stop Kane from coming up in this lineup slot. But if we go over to the wing slot now, his max exposure is still 100. So that's basically saying, hey, only use Patrick Kane in a wing position, but do not use him in the utility position. That is how you do it in the home screen. And then if we were to just run a build right here really quickly, we can confirm that. But that is how I would do it. You can also do something like that in the post build. Those columns are still going to be there, and you can basically manage it the same exact way, right? So let's run a couple of lineups here, and then let's talk about how to do it in the post build. This will be enough lineups for us here. So we're going to go over to utility, and we're going to go over to Kane. So Patrick Kane, 0% exposure. Perfect there. And then if we go over to wings, and then we go over to Kane, looks like we're just not getting a lot of him at all in our pool. So let's try this with somebody a little more pricey, perhaps. That way we can confirm that it's working correctly since this is a new feature, right? So I'm going to go to my projection. I'm just going to do it with the most expensive player, Austin Matthews here. So 0 max exposure in the utility. He is still at 100% exposure in his normal position over here. So let's just run 300 lineups. Can't imagine we don't get any of him in our 300 lineups. But this is a good test, right? You could, go look at the release notes, see if you could do something, and then check it out. Sojo said no NBA. This was for NBA. Oh, okay, my bad. I just assumed that it was NHL. NHL was on my mind, but I think we could demo it for NBA as well. Not a big problem there. So okay, let's go over to Austin Matthews here. 0% exposure in the utility spot, and then if we go over here, Austin Matthews. Man, I can't believe we're not getting any of him. All right, I'm going to do some testing on this. It does seem weird that we're not getting any of him at all in either position. So glad we were able to demo this. I'm going to do some testing of it after the stream ends by myself and see what is going on there. But I'm going to make a note, position, max exposure, and then I'm just going to call it a bug for now. We'll figure it out. But okay, for NBA, right? NBA, you're playing FanDuel NBA, you usually have a utility slot. It looks like we do not have that slot on the home screen, so you cannot do it the same exact way. I would just handle it in the wait. Okay, because there is no flex spot on FanDuel. Okay, so let's jump over to DraftKings. We'll do the same thing here. Okay, so we do have it here, utility spot, right? I would do it the same exact way, and maybe we could demo this a little easier with let's just do 5,000 lineups. I am on the pro plan here on this account. So Lillard. So we're gonna do Damian Lillard, 0 exposure in the utility, and then we are going to keep him at 100% exposure in his position. I can't imagine we don't get any of him in 5,000 lineups. This will be a much better test here. So gonna run 5,000 lineups and make sure that this is working correctly. If it works for one, it should definitely work for both. So 5,000 lineups are about finishing up here, and then we will jump in and see what is going on. So going to let the lineups load. All right. So going to go over to utility, and I'm going to open this up to 150 lineups. See a little more here. So utility spot, going to look up Lillard, 0%. Great. Going to go over to point guard and then look up Lillard, 0% and 0 in the pool. Okay, so this is definitely a bug, right? So if you ever run into something like this, all I would do is I would come in here, do a report a problem, and then say positional max exposure applying to all positions. And then you just hit submit. The team will get back to you. Sending in these reports helps us to troubleshoot problems a lot. So that is the best thing that you can do. You can always ping us in the Discord, but sending in a report a problem is even better. And that helps us to solve these problems much, much faster. So always interesting when we run into bugs on stream. Good opportunity to show basic troubleshooting steps and how to best handle that there. But jumping back over to Discord here, see a question from Naj. And Naj said, what would be the best way to play every sport if you don't really know it using SaberSim? This is a really good question, right? Maybe you are primarily an NFL player and you're like, you know what? I kind of want to dip my toes into the NBA streets and see what's going on, right? What I would do as little in the home screen as possible, right? These are the inputs to the Sims. Anything that you do here has a big effect on what comes out on the other side, what your lineups end up looking like, right? I would be very cautious with making a lot of adjustments in the home screen. And then I would mostly just do risk management in the post build while you continue to learn the sport, right? I would try and increase my min uniques and try and diversify my lineups. I would look at how high risk I am, like how much exposure I have to certain players. Is that too much risk? Is 82%, 123 out of 150 lineups too much for me, right? And how can I walk that back while still getting good lineups, right? Maybe I'm much more comfortable with 60%. Maybe I am more comfortable with like a really, really flat pool of lineups. I mean, it doesn't even look like we have enough in, we only have 123. So you would probably have to go back to 4, but then you could still come in here and say, you know what, I don't want to play anybody over, 50% max exposure, and then hit apply there. And then now you're your highest exposed player, 50%, right? So best thing you could do, manage your portfolio of lineups in the post build while you learn the sport. What are the key, correlation components? Use the builds you run to learn the sport, right? In NBA, do I need to stack a lot? What do these lineups look like? It's not MLB. I have 0.3% five stacks, right? In MLB, you're gonna have tons of five stacks. How many four stacks do I have? Oh, like I'm, maybe I don't need that much correlation. My two highest exposed stacks are a 2-2 and a 2. Why is that? Go in here and look at correlation values for different players. How high are these values? 0.04 is really small, right? And negative 0.05 is also really small. So maybe correlation's not that important in this sport. There are a lot of ways to kind of learn the sport. I would say trust SaberSim and manage risk in the beginning while you start to learn the key aspects of what it takes to win in certain types of in new sports, in new contests, etc. So really good question there, Naj. And I think it's always good to branch out. We offer sims for a lot of sports: NFL, NBA, NHL, golf, MMA, Formula One. I think NASCAR, MLB. Hoping to add more in the future. League of Legends, CS:GO as well. Tennis. Really looking forward to having some college sports in here. Looking forward to having soccer in the future. But some of these niche sports, can be softer, right? And that is an opportunity to grow your bankroll. I've heard a lot of people say that they are niche sports focused and do really well in those sports, and it makes a lot of sense, right? A lot of the sharks are playing the bigger stuff, trying to win the $1 million prizes, trying to win the 100Ks, right? The prize pools might be smaller, but the competition might be softer, and that is an opportunity for you to have a higher ROI in those sports. All right, question from DJ Sirius: has there been any technical issues lately? I run a straight build, no rules or filters, and I get an error message reported to support, but no response. Or also times no lineups are created at all for NBA. Okay, DJ Sirius, not really sure. First time I'm hearing about this. Support team was off. We did support up until NFL lock on Saturday, and then we were off for the holiday. So support is catching up today. They were off yesterday, and any reports that came in over the weekend, they're going to make sure to get back to you today. So apologies about the issues you were having there. Glad you used the report a problem link. That'll definitely help us figure it out. Haven't heard of any widespread issues, but if there is anything specific, we will get back to you today for sure. So I will check in with the support team and see how support is going for the day. But appreciate you reaching out. Always happy to answer any questions here to the best of my ability. All right, see, Naj is typing in the Discord, and it looks like he just finished. So gonna get this up here. He said, I just started learning how to late swap 20 max NBA, and I've seen a huge improvement. All I do is run late swap, then download the new builds. Is there anything else you recommend me to do? So yeah, late swapping is a huge edge. Frankly, I think that you could let's say you're not really used to NBA. You don't know what is late swap worthy news, right? You see the lineups come out in the NBA lineup alerts channels. You see sims run, right? You don't know what the starting lineups were supposed to look like. You don't know if they're different than what they were supposed to look like. So, you're seeing sims run, so you're late swapping, right? I think that's fine. I don't think you're going to lose anything by blindly late swapping on a after at every start time, right? You late swap for the 4:30, late swap for the 5 o'clock, you late swap for the 7. I think it's okay. You're taking advantage of the most up-to-date sims, and I think over time you will learn what is late swap worthy news. Is the lineup different than expected? That is something that will come with time. You'll learn the players. Is I don't know. Is Jordan Clarkson playing, or is Colin Sexton back? Is Malik Beasley starting? Right. These are names. These are rotational things that you learn with time. Right. Totally okay to just blindly late swap in the beginning. I'll say that one thing that I'll say is that if you are late swapping on SaberSim, and there is a player that you want to play in a later game, right? Maybe you've done some research builds, and you decided that Tyrese Halliburton is just a smash play tonight, and you want to make sure that he gets into your lineups. If you are late swapping, the way late swap is currently set up, it's only going to rebuild each lineup one time. You are not going to be able to come in here to the max exposure post build or min exposure and adjust it, right? So the best thing to do is maybe I want Halliburton in 25% of my lineups. And I also, when I late swap, I want to make sure that I'm still getting to a number of lineups with him in it. Set a min exposure as like a guardrail to the builder saying, hey, when you run this late swap, make sure you're putting Halliburton in my lineups. It might not always be exactly 25%. I would be a little flexible with the number, maybe like plus or minus 5% in either direction. But I would set it to basically tell the builder, like, hey, I know we're late swapping. I know we're taking advantage of news, but I still want Halliburton. And so that is like a safety net way to get him in your lineups. When late swap pools go live, they're still in beta. That will be a lot easier. You'll be able to build, a full pool of lineups and adjust min and max exposure. So looking forward to that change in the near future. But for now, this is exactly how I would do it. All right. Good question there. Looks like we're about, 30 minutes into the show. Appreciate everybody participating and asking questions live once we got started. Started the stream with no questions. So thank you all for tuning in. Hope you are all having a wonderful day off. If so, and I will be right back here tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, for our Tuesday show. Good luck in all of your contests tonight. And until then, take care.